Alright, again, good morning everyone. Just keep your cameras turned on. Today we're going to discuss about responsive web design. So today's gonna be the very first topic as we build our website. Like I said a while ago, we will by the end of the semester we should be able to build a website, a working website rather. And today's gonna be the start. So every time that we're going to have our class or every week we're going to add something to it until such time that once the or before the semester end, it's finally working. And then it's not gonna be functional websites. Maybe it's not gonna be functional website, meaning we're just going to our goal here is just to send a website, with the exception of CSC 304. It's just gonna be web design, and if I'm still going to be your instructor for ITS 306 next semester, that's web development 2. We are going to work with adding functionalities. So we're going to learn about PHP, but obviously we will try our best to make sure that we'll be able to add functionalities to SEM, especially ITS 300 and CSC 304. Again, we're going to make sure that we'll be able to add functionalities to our website as well, but our main goal for now is to design it. And today is going to be the very first topic where we're going to discuss about creating, or we're going to learn how to create an actual website from start. So today's topic is about responsive web design. So I guess everybody is already familiar with responsive web design. Again, naka-turn off na po rin yung camera. Kindly keep turning it on. It's a little bit fun. It's a little bit awkward for me to conduct a class na wala ko nakita. Just keep your cameras turned on, especially katong na mga bata. Katong mga mobile data, it's okay, I understand. Okay, thank you guys. Alright, so responsive web design. So, and would anyone try to share or explain to us what they mean by responsive web design? We've been discussing that for quite a while already. So, those who can remember, would you like to go and explain what that means?
Morning, sir.
Morning. Unsay pasabot of responsive web design? Anyone?
Hi, sir.
Go ahead. Palomar, go ahead.
What is a friendly website? From responsive design. Friendly website, for example, sir. Easy to use function, sir, and if nakay i-input niya, sir, automatic responsive siya.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you, Palomar. Who else? Alimer. Go ahead, Alimer.
Element, sir.
Alimer. Sorry.
Well, based on my understand understanding about responsive web design, so it is about creating web pages or that looks good on all devices, sir.
Okay, that's good. Okay, thank you, Alimen. That's right. Okay, so when say responsive website is capable of adapting to different screen sizes and resolution. So if you have noticed some of the website that you might have already visited before, if you're going to visit it on desktop, lahi po ang yang hitsura sa mobile. Kubante mo ano mga ng website? If lahi ang yang hitsura sa mobile ba, but still looks good. What about the website is capable of adapting to multiple screen sizes. So we all know that we have different devices, and different devices means different screen sizes, diba? Even our phones, like lahat ng sizes ang atong mga phones. And also, we know that we have laptops, we have desktop. Our goal here is when we're going to create a responsive website is that our website should be able to adapt, meaning it will look good even if you're going to use desktop, laptop, smartphones, etc. So that is responsive website. So by the way, if you have any questions, just raise your hand here in Google Meet, or you can directly send a message as well. So previously we discussed about CSS, or cascading style sheets. So I'm hoping everybody's already let's say maybe not expert but already well versed when it comes to CSS. Are you done with the assignment already?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
that's good. Okay, so as you have remembered, as you can remember it probably, I mentioned that this the previous assignment, which is the CSS, is part of your midterm. So para katong mga gamay score sa ilang part 1 sa midterm, may matabangan basta makagama mo sa inyong cascading style sheet nga assignment, that's gonna be the part 2. Alright? So make sure to finish it up as soon as possible. Like, supposedly dapat humana because humana man ang midterm. But anyway, for today's topic, again, we'll discuss responsive web design. That means we're going to start building a website that is responsible. When we say not responsible but responsive to all the devices. So when we say responsive, it is capable of adapting to multiple screen sizes and resolution. So we're going to start building just like that. Our goal here in IPS 300 and CSC 204 is that we'll be able to build a website that is capable of working for all types of devices. So what exactly is responsive design? So adding responsiveness to a web page means enabling the page to adapt to different screen sizes and resolution. So just take a look at the illustration that we have here at the right. So it's the same website. Okay, it's the same website, but it is capable of displaying, capable of adapting to different screen sizes. We have here a landscapes, go to desktop na siya, and dako nga screen, and then a smaller screen, and then we have a tablet, and then we have mobile device, or let's say smartphone. What do you think are the differences between them? Okay, would you mind kinsay ganahan niya mo kuan? What have you noticed on the picture that we have here? So sana lang kabuk ang nakit-ang ka-turn on sa lang camera. Please keep it or turn on, guys. But balik lagi to. Keep it on. Thank you. All right, Alimen, go ahead.
So, well, based on my in the answer is about kanang naa siya kanang resize niya yung size, yung pagka-enlarge sa yung sa website, and then kanang murag kuan ba, for example, if it is using HTML and CSS, so di ba bale, it will be automatically resize or hide in ano, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right. What else? Unsay imong nabantayan sa picture? I think Hapasolem raised her hand. Go ahead.
Okay, sir. So based on what I noticed in the picture, as even though they have the same height, but they have the different width.
That's true. And
That's
thank you. And notice that let's take a look at these 3 boxes here. 1, 2, 3. Let's try to examine. Let's try to take note of these 3 boxes. In green, yellow, and blue. Wait, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. Thank you. All right. So take a look at the boxes. In green, yellow, and blue. The moment that we are going to use a larger screen website or landscape website, all of these 3 boxes showed up, diba? Let's take a look at the first one here. So expectedly this could be a desktop because naka-landscape siya. So we have 3 boxes, 1, 2, 3, and then on a smaller landscape nga screen, still 3. But the moment that we're going to use it on mobile devices, let's say for tablet, duha na lang, and then for mobile device, name lang siyang usa. So basically, the orientation has changed from landscape on desktop, landscape siya dire, pag-abot dire kay nahimo na siyang portrait, especially on the smartphone. So although blue ara ang nadiha, pero naapo dire ang yellow o ang green sa ubos. So that is one of the common behavior of a responsive website, that it is capable of adapting to different screen sizes. Iyang usbon ang layout para maigo tanan nga mga elements sa imong website, iyang usbon ang layout. So coming from siguro vertically aligned or from horizontally aligned yang usbon to vertically. So that is one of the behavior of a good responsive website while keeping everything visible. So we know that desktop devices, let's say I have 27-inch monitor. So if I'm going to compare that to smartphone, gamay ra kay ang smartphones. If I'm not mistaken, this is only 6 inches, and then my computer is 27. So unsay pinaka one of the most challenging usa sa mga challenge when it comes to designing websites for both desktop and smartphone is that siguro kung naa ka sa desktop, klaro kayo. But the moment that you're going to put it on a mobile device, mugagmay na kayo ang letter. It's because na-compress na. So that's one of the challenges that we are going to overcome when it comes to designing a website. We have to make sure that our website is going to look good, not just on desktop, but it should look good and visible as well on our mobile device. So that's one of the challenges as well. Well, desktop and laptop displays are in landscape orientation, obviously, which means it's wider and taller. Wider than tall, meaning mas taas ang iyahang horizontal niya side. Many mobile devices can be rotated to show websites in both landscape and portrait, meaning taller than wide. So, di ba, most of the time, smartphones have taller side or taller edge, taller side than wide. Kanang ba, mas taas ang yan dire kaysa dire. That's mobile. Let me change the color of it. Mas taas ang iyang length kaysa width. That's the mobile devices. However, for desktop or laptop computers, mas taas ang iyang width kaysa iyang height. Okay, so that we have to take note of that. This means that designers and developers must design for these differences. So that's the first challenge that we are going to overcome, is that we have to make sure that the website is capable of, or basically that's the first challenge. We're going to design the website for both desktop, just like this, and mobile, just like this. Again, the main differences is that sa desktop, mas taas ang iyahang width, mas mubo ang kaysa iyahang length. Ang sa mobile, mas mubo ang iyahang length kaysa iyahang width kaysa iyahang length. Diba? Do you agree? Do you follow?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. At isang klaro ko na. So that we'll be able to design our website properly. Now, resolution is indicated by how many pixels a monitor displays, and it will be one of the following. So, to properly create a responsive design, we have to understand resolutions, screen resolutions. So that since we'll be creating a website that is capable of adapting to different screen sizes and resolution, the first thing that we are going to understand are resolutions for our devices. So for personal or laptop computers, these are the resolutions that we have to take note. First one being 1280 by 1024. This is the most common. It's called Super Extended Graphics Array, or SXGA. So that's 1280 by 1024. And these are the most common. Siguro mao'y pinaka-common nga resolution for laptops. Especially if kanabang or laptop or monitors kana medyo barato-barato ra, if magpalit mo laptop nga medyo entry level kumbaga, these are the common resolution. And then we have 1366 by 768. That's high definition or HD. So kung makita tag HD resolution, that means it's 1366 by 768. What do you mean by this, by the way? 1280. What is the 1280 means? Anyone? It's called pixels. So that means if this is the screen, like mo na yung screen. Okay, hold on. Okay, if this is the screen, ang 1080 is kani naa siya 1080 at 1280 rather pixels gikan dire abot diha. So naa siya 1280 dots or mga pixel, di ba? Ang say pixels, mga gagmay na siya nga dot. That comprises of 3 colors, RGB. Makinana na siya. If we're going to use a microscope, if ato ibutang sa microscope ang ato ang screen, mo ni siya makita nato. Na in ani. So RGB. So meaning na ay red. So, and then green, and then blue. So mo ni makita nato if we're going to zoom it in. So imagine for 1280 pixels, there are 1,200 dots from this side to this side. And then for 1024, kana 1024. That means there are 1,024 dots from this side to this side. Dots or pixels, kumbaga. And then we have 1600 by 900. It's called High Definition Plus or HD Plus. This is common for mobile devices. Kung papalit mo mobile device, like smartphones na entry level, usually this mauna ang yung resolution, HD Plus, 1600 by 900. Pero, naka-portrait siya. And then we have 1920 by 1080p. So that is full high definition or full HD. So these are next to this one. This is the most common. Muna na siya kung mapalit kag medyo mas mahal na nga laptop or computer or monitor. So right, my laptop, my monitor is 1080p. Ako monitor yung gamit ron as well as my laptop is also 1080p. That means it has 1920 pixels from this side to this side, and then 1080 from top to bottom. Then we have 1920 by 1200. It's called Wide Ultra Extended Graphics Array. And then kato na mga mahalo na dyan nga mga devices, we have 2560 by 1440. It is called Quad High Definition or 2K. It's called 2K display. And then we have 3440 by 1440. That's Wide Quad High Definition or WQHD. And then lastly, so far, or it's not so far pinakataas, but because na may 8K ron, we have 4K resolution or 3840 by 2160K. That is 20p rather. That's 4K ultra high definition. So muna na itong palita og mga TVs that cost about 30,000 or maybe 25,000 or more most of the time. 4K na siya. That means there are 4,000, almost 4,000 dots from this side, from left to right, and then 2160 dots or pixels from this to this. So imagine almost 4 times ang iyahang double sa resolution from the common laptops, common PC monitors, 4 times ang iyang ginagawa 4K resolution. So that is for web design. So we have to understand when we are trying to design a website, let's say we have to learn about the different screen sizes for desktop or laptop computers. And the most common ones are 1280 by 1040. That means we're going to focus more on these 1080, 1024, and then 1920, 1080. Alright? But as much as possible, try to design your website for all the resolution here. Right, this time let's proceed with mobile devices. So notice na natay 2 columns. We have resolution and viewport. Let's discuss what exactly is viewports. Okay. Viewports are scaled down versions of the resolution that allow sites to be viewed more consistently across the devices. Viewports are often more standardized and smaller than resolution sizes. So viewports are different. Basically, it's the same with resolution, but it's scaled down. That means mas gipagamay siya. So imagine, remember, diba? Our phone is smaller. Our phones are smaller. Mobile devices are smaller than regular monitors, correct? So, we have to increase the size of the pixel count para makita nato. So, tendencies is mas gamay man ang ato ang mobile device kaysa kaysa regular monitors. Tendency is that ang usual nga makita nato sa atong screen sa monitor which looks normal to us, ato na siyang balhinon sa mobile device, gamay na siya kaayo. Do you agree? Will you agree? So, if naatay makita sa atong screen nga looks normal for us at sa monitor, computer monitor, since dako man ang monitor, if we're going to move it or we're going to move it to our laptop or to our cell phones or mobile phones, gamay na siya kaayo. It's because compress man niya. Do you agree? Make sense ba siya?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Therefore, browsers use viewports. Again, viewports are scaled down version of the resolution. Meaning, iyang paggamyan ang resolution sa imong phone para iyang i-zoom in. Ma-zoom in niya ang mga letters that it will still look normal. Okay? So, para makita ra gyapon nato same size ato makita for monitor or regular laptop monitors, computer monitors, and your phones. So that's viewport. So if we're going to compare, most of the time, ang viewport is much smaller, almost katunga sa unggun sa resolution. So let's take a look for iPhone XR or iPhone XR, how do you call it? The resolution is 828 by 1792. Makita ba? Mabasa rin ninyo or is too small?
Nakita na, sir.
Okay. The resolution for iPhone XR is 828 by 1792. So that means if this is the iPhone or this is the mobile device, this is right here is 1792 kaning side, and then this side right here is 828. All right, so that's the resolution for iPhone XR. Notice that the viewport is smaller, 14 by 896. Katunga ang iyahang gamiton nga viewport. So that means it's scaled down. Gipagamay niya ang screen resolution sa browsers so that we can zoom it in. So imagine dragod kung paggamyo nimo ang picture din imong i-zoom in. Murag inana ba? You're going to crop a picture on your phone, paggamyo nimo, and then i-zoom in nimo. What will happen? Mudako ang pictures, di ba? Mas makita nato ang pictures because it's scaled up. So that's the case with viewport. Let's take a look on the iPhone XS. The resolution is much bigger now. It's 1125 by 2436, but the viewport is only 375 812. Alright? So that means if we're going to design a website specifically for iPhone XS for mobile, we'll be using the 375 by 812 viewport. Okay? Take note of this viewport because we'll be using this when we're going to design our responsive website. For iPhone XS Max, these are the resolution. This is the viewport. So all of these would be the resolution for Apple devices. We have iPhone X, iPhone 8 Plus, and wala pa na ako na update with the release of newer iPhones, diba? Na iPhone 14, iPhone 14 Pro karon. So you might want to research on that as well. What is the resolution? What is the viewport? All right, let's go to top Android devices. Yapon siya updated. So again, for the latest Android devices, you have to Google it. We have to Google it. So we have Nexus 6P. That's the resolution. Okay, so want to take note. Owning an iPhone does not really mean that higher resolution. Let's take a look. For iPhone XR, imagine how much these cost. The resolution is only 828 at 1792, but for Nexus 6P, 1440. Okay, so imagine the difference with regards to resolution. All right, so most Android devices has higher resolution. Take note of that. the tractor system. Okay, so for Google Pixel 4, it's 1440 by 869, and then the viewport is only 412 869. And then same thing for, let's say, Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus, 1440 by 3040, and then the viewport is 412 by 869. Again, take note that the viewport is the ones that will, for mobile devices, these are the one that we are going to use for our responsive design. Okay, so make sure to take note of these resolutions. And then additional for tablets, we have top 5 tablets here. These are basically they have higher resolution and higher viewport depending on the screen sizes. Alright, so again, take note of the viewport because this is what we are going to focus more when we are going to design a website for, or we're going to create a responsive website. So let's talk more about the viewport. Since mobile devices are generally smaller, web browsers tend to enlarge the graphics it display to make it easier to view by the users. So again, iyang i-scale down and then iyang i-enlarge. Alright? Muna buhaton sa mga mobile device so that you can see it because most of the time og unsay makita nato normally on monitors, computer monitors, it's going to be very small if we're going to transfer that to a mobile device. That's why the mobile devices web browsers rather tend to enlarge it, yang padak-an, using the viewport. This is why mobile device has smaller pixel counts for its viewport compared to its actual screen resolution. So again, viewports are scaled-down versions of resolution that allow sites to be viewed more consistently across different devices. Viewports are often more standardized and smaller than resolution sizes. Okay, so that's it. We're just going to set the viewport for the device that we are going to design our website for, and then the browser will automatically enhance or will automatically adjust how our website is going to look like. All right. So, do you have any questions about screen sizes and viewports before we proceed?
None so far, sir.
Okay, so this time, how are we going to design a website for both the desktop and mobile device? Alright, so first is we're going to set a viewport. HTML5 introduced a method to let web designers take control over the viewport through the meta tag. Okay, so that means we are going to add another tag, HTML tag, and that is called meta. Okay, so you should include the following meta viewport element in all your web pages. So, ato ning i-add na code, okay, sa atong HTML. So that is meta, and then attribute name is equals to viewport, content is equals to width equals device width, and then initial scale is 1. Alright, so let's try to discuss these what this means. So meta is the element that will allow us to use viewport, or the HTML element that will allow us. Basically, we are telling the browser that we are going to use viewport for mobile devices. And then name is the attribute, and then the value should be viewport. Then content width equals device width, and then initial scale is equals to 1. Alright, so that's the very first thing that we are going to do. Asa na to siya ibutang? Asa siguro na to siya ibutang? Asa din dapit? Inside the title. Okay? Alright, it's okay. I know somebody raised their hand again. Sira na sa dito. So, remember, natay head, and then title. Title ang gingon. Sorry, head. Sorry. CPS sir. Again, let's try again. Ibutang na ito siya sa, di ba? Una is HTML, and then we have head, and then we have title, and then siguro link para sa atong CSS, and then we're going to add meta. And then title, head, and then body. Alright, so we're going to put it inside the head. This gives the browser instructions on how to control the page dimension and scaling. Basically, we're telling the browser that we'll be using viewport. So the width, okay, this one right here, the content attribute. The width device dash width part sets the width of the page to follow the screen width of the device, which will vary depending on the device. So basically, ang atong giset, ang automatic nga to nga, giset nato nga width is the actual device width. So remember, computer monitors has different width compared to smartphones. So for the content part, kani nga attribute, we're telling the browser now that we have to use this width, kani siya, which is smaller. Okay? And then the initial scale, which is 1, part sets the initial zoom level when the page is loaded by the browser. So the initial scale is 1. That means it's 100% zoomed in para maklaro nato maayo ang ato ang screen. Okay? Alright. So let's take a look at these examples. The difference between without using the meta tag and using the meta tag. So this is what I was talking about a while ago. So if we're just going to design the same thing and we're not going to add responsiveness to our website, this is what tends to happen. On the left side, let's take a look. Mabasa ba ninyo? Kani siya, mabasa nato ni sa monitor, kani content. But the moment that we transfer it on a mobile device, this is what's gonna happen. Mabasa ba ang text? Dili. Dili mo gina mabasa. Dili gina mabasa nga directly na kung gatana. So that is without using the meta tag. Now, if we're going to compare it to using the meta tag here, which one looks better? Kani or kani?
With meta tags.
Right.
So with meta tag, it will automatically zoom in. It will automatically use the katong 100% zoomed in, and then we are using the viewport this time. So this is the regular resolution. Siguro 1080p gyapon ni siya or something. But this one right here, it uses the viewport. So mas kamay nga resolution means the browser can zoom it in further since ipagamit ang resolution. So mo na makita nato siya tanan. All right? So that's the advantage of using viewport. All right. So let's do just that. We're going to add this to our website. So let me open up the website real quick. We'll start creating a new one, by the way. So I'm very glad that you're able to do your website katong inyong assignment before, but keep it as remembrance now because we'll no longer be using those for our future lesson. We're going to start a new one, okay? So just keep it as a remembrance that this is my very first website that I created. But we will start with a new project today. So same thing that you're going to do, create a folder on your laptop or on your computer or on your Treb editor if you're using smartphones only. Okay, let me create a folder real quick on my website. Okay, magama akong folder dire. I'll call it for now. Okay, I'll call it responsive websites na lang. We'll think of a title as we go along. Okay, so I should point out, by the way, since this is the start of the website that we will be creating, so make sure na final na ang inyong idea, final na kung saan nga type sa website niyo hanggang on. So remember, on your first assignment sa una, I ask you to create katoganing na ay wireframe na ay hinumdum po matong assignment. I ask you to prepare a wireframe for our website.
Yes, sir.
Development life cycle. So I ask you to think of a website, the concept, what is it for, ang iyang purpose. So as much possible, if naka-decide na mo nga kato unsa inyong website inyong gi-answer dito, try to himo na to nga website. That's gonna be the website that you'll be building as well. Will that be okay? Pero if you decided to change your mind, it's okay. So long as starting today up until the end of the semester, it's the final website na inyong buhatan. Alright, so let me create my first page here. Obviously, that's gonna be index.html. So index.html. Alright, so you can either use Notepad++, but I will use VS Code para po na po may idea how to use VS Code, Visual Studio. but it's going to be the same thing. Don't get overwhelmed because basically Visual Studio is just the same with Notepad++. But this is highly used for advanced usage. Whereby if ganahan ka may mga programmer, ganahan ka may mga developer, try to use this. Alright, so if you decided to use Visual Studio Code, again, it's free to download. Just Google it. It's free na siya to download from Microsoft na website. So once you open it up, just click File and then Open Folder, and then look for the folder that you created. So in my case, it's here, and then Web Development 1, and then Responsive Website. So once you click Select Folder, all of your files will automatically be displayed here. Okay, kaloading pa siya. Alright, so here on the right side, you'll see the index.html, the one that we created. If ni-create pa kaglaan yung files, mo display pa na siya there. So you just have to click on it and start building your website. The good thing about VS Code, so katong mga na-laptop na computers at home, I would highly recommend using VS Code, especially since IT comms naman ta. The tendency is that we'll be exposed with coding most of the time. The good thing about Visual Studio Code is that nara kay mga commands nga buhaton and then automatic na siyang mo-type para dili ka magsigig type. What do you mean by that? Now, let me type kaning kuan. What do you mean by this? Sa to kaning exclamation point. Kanara akong buhaton exclamation point, and the moment that I click enter, automatic siyang mo-type all the HTML5 na codes. Yan na ba? So we have here doc type HTML lang en, head, meta, title, di ba? So, may nakanindot sa Visual Studio Code is because na siya mga commands. So, like I said, ang sarong gibuhat, i-type na kong exclamation point, click enter, automatic siya mag-create sa basic HTML5 structure. Alright? Kitsa gagamit og Visual Studio. Kinsa naka-try na?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Alright, that's good. Okay, so let's start. Nana, actually part of the automatic na po niyang gi-add ang atong metadata or using the viewport ba? Let me zoom it in so you can see it. Yan na pong okay? Automatic na po niyang gibutang. So, this is the first step, diba? First step is to add meta name viewport content, and then width is equals to device dash width, initial scheme is 1.0. So good thing about Visual Studio Code, you don't have to type it in, you just have to type asterisk, then everything, not asterisk but exclamation point, and then yan ang automatic na butang ang viewport. And then next, alright, next is media query. The media rule is used in media queries to apply different styles for different media types or devices. The media queries can be used to check many things such as width and height of the viewport, width and height of the device, orientation, it could be either tablet, phone, or is it in landscape or portrait mode, and then resolution. So the @media query is for CSS. Okay, the @media query is for CSS. We're going to add @media rule so that we'll be able. This will determine nga ang atong kanang mga CSS properties nga atong ibutang is for either a mobile device or a desktop device. So this is how we're going to do it using the @media rule. So again, unsaon na to pag design for a mobile device? Again, we will use @media rule. So this is the syntax. @media. Okay, this is the syntax. Take note. @media. And then either not or only, and then we're going to enter the media type and then media feature and or not. Okay, medyo dili siya make sense, and media feature. What do you mean by this? So we all know that we are going to use @media for us to start building a website. For us to start adding CSS on a specific size. So it could be either mobile device or desktop. Then let's take a look at this. Not. What do you mean by not? There's a Okay. Not means this is the not keyword inverts the meaning of an entire media query. So murag ganara kang usbon nimo ang iyang meaning. Okay, let's talk about not later on once we're already familiar with the at media query. And then we have only. The only keyword prevents older browsers that do not support media queries with media features from applying the specified stance. It has no effect on modern browsers. Alright, let's just say that the only media type, if we're going to add only, it will not work on older devices. Okay? And the and keyword combines a media feature with a media type and other media feature. So what exactly are media type and media feature, by the way? So we'll talk about it in just a moment. But the word and is just, we are trying to combine media type and media feature. So for example, a media type is it for printing? Is it for mobile device? Is it for digital viewing? Or let's say, kana para ba siya sa web? Something like that. Or is it for printing? So especially, this is one good example. Diba, sa una kayo nung dumong na amoy, ay, wala pa mo kaabot sa NORSU sa, so, load slip. Ang load slip sa una is gina-print. Diba, karon gina-email naman ang load slip sa inyo, ha?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Gina-email. So, wala pa mo kaabot sa face-to-face before. So, sa una, during face-to-face class, instead, karon kay email man naman, sa una is a print. So, we are using NORSU enrollment system. So, since katong load slip is for printing, that is that is a media type. So we're going to design the web page kana inyong load slip, and not me, but the developers before katong nag-develop sa enrollment system sa NORSU, they designed a load slip para siya for printing purposes. Ano ba? Because your load slip is also a web page. Web page man ninyo ang load slip, pero gi-print lang siya. Sa una, karon gi-email na siya diretso sa inyo. So that is an example of media type. Na ay mga parts sa your website nga kinahanglan i-print like load slip or kanang list of students, kanana. So we have to design it specifically for printing. So that's an example of a media type. All right. So let's take a look at the other media types. So we have, when you say all, meaning we are going to design the website for all types of media. So we have print, screen, or speech. What about gagamata website for all purposes? It could be either for web or for printing. And then obviously we have print used for printers, just like load slip na akong giving example a while ago. So we've created, katong mga developers sa enrollment system sa NORSU sa una, katong load slip na part or katong list of students na part will they design it for printing purposes because lahi man ang itsura for print or for the web design for web. And then speech, we have screen. This is the most common one. So if we're just going to design a website para ma-view nato online, then we'll be using screen. So used for computer screen, tablets, smartphones, etc. And then for speech, used for screen readers that reads the page out loud. So katong, I'm not sure if nakabantay naman but na yung mga text-to-speech na mga devices, they are intended for katong mga visually impaired na mga people and they still want to read books. They're going to use text-to-speech na kind of books like Kindle, Amazon Kindle. I'm not wala ko ilang mga una-unaan, but it is also napo ni siya sa atong smartphones, Android phones. I'm not sure with Apple devices, but for Android phones, if you're going to want to most accessibility sa inyong device or developer options na ay dito text to screen. Bali, every time that you're going to tap something on your screen, iyang basahon. It is designed for kana visually impaired ng mga people ba that still wants to use smartphones. Okay? So media types are para asa, okay? Unsa man pagsulti para asa ang design. Design sa CSS. It could be either for print, screen, or speech, or all of them. And then media features. Okay, so take note of the media features because we'll be using the media features in para ma-set nato unsa nga screen size atong gamiton for our design. So the height, obviously that is the default, used for all media type devices. Okay, let me change the color real quick. It's okay if it doesn't make sense for now, but at least mag-gets niyo ang idea what do you mean by these media features. And with the viewport width, and then max width, the maximum height of the display area such as a browser window. And then max height rather. Then the max width is the maximum width of the display area such as a browser window, minimum height, minimum width, and orientation. So when you say maximum height, for example, mugamatag CSS file, and then you use max height. That means, and you set the max height to 480 pixels. That means if you this is the maximum height, that means the CSS will only apply for devices that has 40 pixels, 480 pixels and below. Okay? So if ang pag-run sa imong website, dirani mo sa mas dako paani nga resolution, ang iyang default nga CSS ang i-apply. But if the device that you are trying to work on has this resolution, 480 and below, then the new CSS file will be run. Mura siya mag-set ka condition ba? Sa CSS or Java pa ni siya, mag-set ka condition. Now, it will only work for maximum height of this. And then same thing with max width and then minimum height, alright? So the minimum height is totally different. So remember that we are trying to design a website for mobile device, diba? If you're going to set minimum height, kana. So kung ang imong giset nga minimum height is 480, that means if the device is less than 480, dili mo run ang mong CSS, mura yang i-run as ang default. Okay? Mura ka gasat o condition ba? If you can remember, if, else if, that's the same case with CSS media query. You're going to set the size of the resolution of the device that you'll be working on, and if dili gani siya mo match sa device nga gi-run na nag-render sa imong website, then dili po niya i-run ang imong code. Pero kung ang imong giset nga height nga size sa screen, same pod sa screen nga imong asa nimo gi-render ang imong website, muran ang iyang code. Wala na koy makita nga tao. Can you keep turning on cameras on? Okay, don't turn it off, guys. Don't let me keep reminding you. Okay, so you get the idea? Diba? Since we are going to create separate the media query is for us to be able to create separate CSS file specifically for mobile device. Now, depending on which side which media feature you use, if it's gonna be maximum height. So, kung maximum height, again, if this is your maximum height for 80p, so if kung ang imo siyang i-run of monitors nga more than 480p, unsay may tabo?
Dili siya makuan.
Okay. Dili siya mogana ang imuhang code nga gigamit. Unsay may tabo noon? Instead, unsay may iyang i-run?
Naka-default, sir.
Katong default ni mga CSS. So remember, in creating a responsive website, you'll be working on those CSS na. One is the default one, and then second, at least two rather. Pwede ka mo add more, but in our course for this topic, we're just going to create two. One is the default one. That means it will work. Let's call it the general CSS. So, and then one is for the mobile. Okay? So, kung imong giset nga height is 480, and then girani mo siya sa desktop, and desktop has larger screen resolution man, that means your CSS file for your mobile is not going to work, but katong default nga CSS ang yung i-run. Okay? Same thing with this. For the height and width specific, kung ang maximum height, maximum width, minimum height, minimum width na siya range, using the height and width is specific. That means pitan imong giset as 480, and then ang imuhang monitor is 481. Muran ba ang imong CSS code dili if you're going to use height? Do you think it will run now? 480 or 479. If mo na ang screen sizes sa imong monitor. Nya imong giset to 480. Mo run ba imong CSS? If you're using height or width, it's not going to run. It's because it is very specific. So what we usually use is either max height or min width because it will give us the range. Okay? So for example, for 80, so that means maximum height is 480. That means you can run this CSS code from even 1 pixel to 80. And then mo stop na siya kung ang size sa imong screen is 481 and above. Alright, so that's the idea of media picture. Alright, so we'll create an example. So we're going to practice ata, and then later on we're going to create our very first CSS file. So mugamata og we're going to create a CSS file for a default view, and then we're going to create another CSS file for mobile view. Okay, so we'll create new CSS file for sa Visual Studio Code. Just right click and then new file, and then let's call it our folder. Create a tag folder. Hold on. Create a tag folder. Let's call it CSS, and inside the CSS we're going to add new file. Let's call it style.css. So the style.css is our default CSS, diba? Kung itong ginabuhat before. And then we're going to create another CSS. Let's call it media.css. So we have two CSS files. Actually, pwede po natong usahon lang, but for the sake of discussion and para mas masabtan nato, let's separate them. Okay? One is the default CSS file, and this one is for media query. So let's start with this one. So first, we'll have to connect both of these CSS files. So atong buhaton lang is link.css. Click enter, and automatic na siyang mo type. Right? So that's a good thing about Visual Studio. Click lang na rin mga commands. So how do we connect CSS? Ano lang, sub. Buta na to dire. Type link.css, enter. Automatic na siyang type sa CSS na line. So let's just locate it. So asa na ka-locate? Okay, help me locate style.css. Anyone? Go ahead. Guys, help me locate style.css here in href. Kabalo naman ni, di ba?
CSS folder, sir.
Okay, CSS folder, and then
CSS.
style.css. Alright, let's add another one for our media.css. Same thing, link CSS, and then CSS/media.css. Okay, so kana lang sa, let's save this, and then for our style, let's work on this style. Let's add background color. Let's set it to blue. Okay, so for the default one, by default ang background color sa atong website should be color blue. Let's try. Let's save this. Let's save this as well, and then let's execute it. Coding kayo. Okay. Ari na lang madali. Sayop. Wala na ako gigamitan. Body. Alright, reload. Okay, so by default, the background color is blue. Now, how do we use media at media query? So we'll try to change it nga kung port landscape siya, which is kan diba? Landscape man taron diba? Because we're using desktop, diba? This is landscape. Now, if we're going to use portrait, ma-change ang iyang background color. So this is to give you an idea how media CSS work. So let's open up our media.css. Kana? And unsaon ganito, unsa gitoy okay, kani. Ang unsa gitoy dara. Media, either not or only, media type, and media feature. And so basically all of these are optionals man. So we can just say, okay, for the meantime, we'll just copy this media, and then since this is for screen, diba? For screen man, diba? We can use either print, we have screen, we have speech, or we can use all. But for the meantime, we'll specifically set it to screen because para naman siya sa website. Then we use and, meaning and we're going to combine a media feature, which is our media type rather, and a media feature. And remember, one of the media feature is orientation. Kani. So we're going to use screen. That means we'll be designing it for screen, and orientation. That means if ang orientation is either landscape or portrait, then we will set the CSS. Alright, so let's do just that. So let's open up our media.css and let's use at media. Alright, and then screen. That means we'll be designing our website for, we'll be using our CSS file for screen only. And then and. Okay, we're going to combine it with a media feature. And then the media feature, let's enclose it with parentheses. Or actually, pwede wala siguro name. Let's try if wala lang. Let's go directly and type orientation. And ba? Let's try. If dili siya magana, kinala to enclose ang media feature. And landscape. Okay, I think kinala just saying A. Alright, so when we're going to combine the media type, this one right here, and media feature, the media feature must be enclosed with a quotation. Alright, so inside this, diba, mabutan na punta og open and close angle brackets, and then inside that, diha na nato ibutang ang ato ang CSS code. That means we'll set body, and then another open and close angle bracket code, and let's change the background color. Let's say red. Okay, let's save that, and then let's try to test our website. So right now we are currently on landscape mode, correct? Oh no, dapat portrait. Sorry, portrait. Okay, right now we are currently on landscape mode. So therefore, kaning atong media CSS ni gikuan ba siya? True ba ni nga statement? Break if and sana conditional statement. Wait, pero that's true. Is this statement true? Is this media query true? Right now we're currently on landscape mode. So do you think this media query will run?
No, sir.
Dili. It's because wala man siya again, mugana rin siya kaning red if we are on portrait. So that's the kuan. Muna siya pasabot sa media query. So let's try to change the orientation of our screen to portrait. So how do we do that? So let's reload, and then kani ato rang i-minimize. Or diba right click and inspect element here. So right now we are currently on portrait mode. Are we? Naka-portrait na ba ni?
Yes, sir.
Portrait
Yes,
siya
sir.
because mo po ang iyahang
Yes, sir.
iyahang width kasi ang length. Alright? So since naka-portrait naman siya, that's the time that the color changes to red. Alright? So if we'll move, it will set back to landscape mode. Just click here. Kana, blue na po siya. So this part right here will toggle portrait or mobile or desktop view. Let's click it again, and it's gonna be red. All right, another way to test that is very easy. Atong i-minimize gamay, and again, ang landscape, pasabot sa landscape is mas dako ang iyang width kaysa iyang length, di ba? So let's try decreasing the width of our monitor or our browser. Let's try to decrease. Alright. Tara, kabantay mo. This is transition because this kanang part nga mured na siya, that means mas mubo ng iyahang length kaysa iyahang width kaysa iyahang length. So this is a transition. So kung mas taas ang iyang width, blue, but kung mas mubo ng iyahang width, red. Alright? Let's try to change the color. Let's say mahimo siyang yellow. Kung naka-portrait siya, mahimo siyang yellow. Let's save that. Let's reload. Let's move it to landscape sa. Then let's reload. And we're expecting na kung naka-portrait na siyang yellow. Tara. Alright? So that's media query. You're going to design a website based on its size. Nala ba? So that means if we're going to design a website for mobile device, it's very obvious. We just have to set either the width or we can either set using portrait or landscape mode. Ano lang. Okay? Do you follow? Do you follow, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Nag-gets ra. I hope nag-gets ra. Alright. So let's try to use hide an element when the browser's width is 600 px wide or less. Okay. So we're going to create, for example, let's add an element. Let's go back to our index.html. We're going to create a division here. Okay, let's create a division, and for this division, okay, this is visible. All right, let's save this, and then let's go for our default CSS. Let's call the div, and then let's set the background color to, let's say, white, and then with magamaratag box, and we'll try to hide it. Atong i-hiding a box if we're going to be on a specific size. So width is 200 px, height is 200 px. Alright, let's save that and let's take a look. Kana. So natay box, diba? Natay box that says this is visible. Now, our goal here is we are going to hide it ato siyang taguan if we're going to set a specific size. So here, media screen at maximum width is 600. That means from 0 to 600 pixels na width, nakatago siya. So how do we hide an element? Kanilang, display dot none. Ano lang. Display is a property, none meaning it's a value that will hide the element. So let's go back here. And instead sa atong media.css, but instead of orientation sa lang gyapon ta, and then let's set the display, let's call the div, and then display none. All right, let's take a look. So right now, since we're on landscape mode, visible ra siya, but the moment that if naka-landscape mode ta, visible siya, but the moment that we'll go to portrait, okay, wala lagi siya nagana. Display none. There. Let me save it all. Tara. Once we go to portrait, mawala siya. Okay, do you follow?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then if naka-landscape ta, makita mo siya balik. So this time, let's try to use the maximum width, minimum width, maximum height, minimum height. What does that mean? So let's change our media query to, hold on. There. Let's start with maximum width. Max width. Let's give it 480. Okay, so when you say max width for 480p, okay, if we're going to use less than 480p, then our media query properties will work. But if it's more than 480, then it's not going to work. Iyang i-run atong default na CSS. Let's save that. Let's reload. Okay. So right now, since we are currently on the maximum width of our website, obviously this is visible. But the moment that we hit below 600, okay, the moment hit below 600, gana ang ato ang media.css. Below 480 rather, 480 pixels. All right. All right. So this is the 480 part. Okay, and then we have, so nagets na nyo ang maximum width. So basically, if we will use maximum width, for example 600, mugana ang atong media query from 1 to 600. But if it's gonna be 601 and above, this will no longer run. That's the maximum width, meaning it will only run if it has the maximum width of 600, meaning 600 and below lang in this example. And then, all right, the minimum width. Okay, the minimum width code is the other way around. So for example, if we're going to set it to the minimum width instead, that means 600 and below, muga na siya or dili? Kung kani siyang minimum atong gibutan diri.
Dili.
Okay, so minimum width is the opposite. So meaning this will only work if it has the minimum of 600. Meaning 600 and below, di na siya work. It will only work if 600 and above. Let's try that, doing just that. So let's change it to, instead of max width, let's use min width. Let's save that and let's reload. Okay. Karon nabali. Okay, ang iyang gigana natong media query directly, since we're currently on more than 480. Ito siyang pagkan ang ato ang width, then dara mubalik siya sa default. Do you still follow, guys? Okay, that's good. All right, so that's minimum width. And for specific, okay, for height and width, that's right. So that means, okay, okay, so if we're going to use width only, that means 480. So that means our media query will only work if and only if our screen is 480, meaning specific siya nga 480. If it's 479, 481 is not going to work. It will only work on 480. Good. So let's save that. Oh no, nihang ang computer. Hold on. Nihang ang computer, kadali lang ha. Yeah, let's save it. Alright, so again, since we are setting it to specific with 480, that means this will only work on 480 resolution. So let's try. Let's reload. And obviously, lusod pa siyang pangitawon kaya nag-insara resolution na site. Pangitawon na to ang 480. Tara! Very quick lang. Kana. Alright? So this is 480. Now, anything less than 480, it will stop working. Anything more than 480, it will stop working. It will only work on 480s, which is, tara, oops. Lisuda. Lisud siyang takpon. Okay, basta, you get the idea. It will only work on specific size. So do you have any questions so far? Do you have any question with the media query? So again, the best way to write media query is this. First is we're going to write app media and then the media type. So in our case, let's use screen. But if you intended to kanang imo siyang i-print, kanang web page nga imong gikama is for printing, then you will use print. Or if it's gonna be for text to voice activation or devices, then we will use speech. Or you can just use all, meaning it's also for web, for print, or for speech. Alright, for the meantime, let's just use screen because this is our focus now. And then, meaning we're going to combine with the media feature. So media feature that I will not advise to use width and height. You should either use minimum height, maximum height, minimum width, maximum width. Okay? Do you follow, guys? Bulfa, go ahead. Do you have any question?
Sir, pwede ma-open ang concert ka ng styles.css?
Ano yan?
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Okay. Alright, but again, this is just an example, guys, okay? This is just an example to show you how CSS works. But we're going to create an actual website today, web page today, and that's going to be the navigation. Navigation ba? So, let me go back to my example and illustration a while ago. Kani. So this is responsive. So notice nga kani navigation nga part, I'm not sure if visible. Okay, it's okay. Let me show it an actual website lang na akong nagama na. Na ako nagama na before. So we're going to atong buhatan pa ni. Ato bang suweron ba? So please take a look. So this is the website that we'll be creating. We'll start with the navigation. So in my case, it's a portfolio website. So we're going to scroll it down. Graphic design, web development, portfolio. Loading kayo. Loading akong laptop. And at the bottom, you should be able to see katong na ay footer dire. Dara. Footer. Something like that. Contact information. So for now, we will begin with the navigation. So let's take a look. This is an example of a responsive website. So right now we are seeing this because this is desktop. The moment that we change it to, let's say, okay, the moment that we change it to desktop view, and to set it to mobile, take a look at this navigation. Home, post, gallery, about, and contact. Take a look at this part. If I'm going to mobile device like this, it will change to a menu. So if we click na ko na, magawas na to siya. So this is what the first thing that we're going to do today. We're going to create a responsive navigation. Right? So are you ready? We still have 30 more minutes to go, and we'll try to finish it in 30 minutes. So muna itong first activity, we're going to create basically for our website, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create this one right here. So if naka-mobile siya, muna ang hitsura. Kung naka-desktop siya, muna ang hitsura. Alright? Are you guys ready? Are you still with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Alright, good. Please take note because muna man ito ang klasihon na. Muna man ito ang we're going to start working on our project now. So let me just erase all of these.
So, screenshots ako, sir.
Ha? Screenshot sa practice naman kani. Dili pa man siya kuanjed. I-wrap na ako.
Pero napay video record na YouTube, sir.
Yeah, naka-record lang.
Nakay mga
Yeah, naka-record taran. Alright, let me erase all of these. Okay, let's start. So the first thing that we're going to do is, hold on, let me show it to you. Kani, the first part na itong buhaton is kani, notice nga natay kanang box nga dark here. And then we have, for the meantime, I will use my name, but it would be best if you can use logo here. But for today's discussion, we're just going to use, you're just going to use your name, and then maybe as soon as we go along, we're going to enhance it. That means we may use logo, but kani lang sa for the meantime. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add this box, and then we will add our logo, kumbaga, and then we're going to add our navigation. So this is how we do it. So obviously that will be inside the body tag. Makita ra ba? Make sure na naka full screen and then naka landscape para
Yes, sir,
makita
kita
ninyo.
lang.
Okay. All right. So inside the body, we have to use nav. Okay, because this is for navigation. And then next is we're going to create a label inside the nav. We're going to create a label, and then notice that when we open up label na nakabutang label 4. Let's move the label 4 for now, the label like that, and then I'm going to add my name, Juleus. Ako na lang. Sige, Juleus. And then after that, so basically mo siya. The label would be this. And what exactly our label I'm going to let you know about it in this moment. And then next that we're going to add is our home, post, gallery, about, contact us, or contact. Okay, kamo na bahala kung sa yung ganahan niya may imuang navigation here, but for today's discussion, I'm just going to copy this one. So how do we do it? We're going to use an ordered list. What do you mean by an ordered list? Basically, it's a list that is unordered, meaning wala siya nakadatra siya na list. So we're going to start with UL, and then LI, and then first is home, oops, and then next is let's say post, then we have another one, and then also gallery ba? Yeah, gallery, and then about. Dili pa ni siya final navigation, guys. Okay, this is just for the sake of discussion, but this may not be the final navigation soon. All right. So now that we have our unordered list, and inside the unordered list are the list itself. So this is how it's going to look like for now. Let's save that and let's reload it. Kana muna itsura niya. So let's try to remove the CSS na lang. Let's empty out our CSS. So for now, this is how it's going to look like. Don't you worry, we're going to change that to something like this. So, alright, so I think that's it for now, and let's proceed with our CSS. So let's start with our style.css, meaning that the default CSS codes. Alright, so first is, hold on. We're going to create this background right here. Oh no. Daghan na naka-open. Okay, we're going to create the background, so we can decide whatever color you want. So maybe let's go to color. Adobe. Did you use color.adobe.com? If I ask you to, for your assignment, I asked you to use your own color palette. Since who among you have used Adobe Color for your palette katong sa inyong previous assignment? Na ini try ani, di ba ni anak ko sa inyong assignment, try to use this. Na ba wala? Yeah, I guess none. So para dili mo ka decide sa color that you want, wa mo kanaganahan mo nindot nga colors and you don't know how to choose the proper colors, then use Adobe Color and then look for anything that you would like. So let's say for example, ganahan ko og kanang midnight or moonlight, kumbaga. Moonlight nga colors. Example lang. You will decide your color on your own, but for the meantime, for the sake of discussion, so here, these are the common palettes or color palettes for moonlight. So let's say you just have to choose one that works best for you. Dili siya mo final color na for the sake of this discussion. So I'm going to use this. So click on it, and then here you can have the click to copy the kanang color code ba, hex code. So ganahan ko nga ako ang navigation is mao nga color kani. So I'm just going to copy that, and then let me proceed to the Visual Studio. And I'm going to call nav. Alright, and then the background color is kato akong gi-copy ganin. Oops. Okay, kopyaw na ko na. For some reason, it will not allow me to copy because naglag na siya. But 0 to, copy na. Alright, so that's the color. And then, what else? Height is 80 pixels. Width is 100%. That means it will use the entire width of my screen. And then let's save that. That is for style.css. That means if I'm going to open it up, nanatay ato ang box. Do you see it? Nanatay atong box. But what unsa itong na-notice? Na ay kang a, di ba? Na ay kang a, na ay space by default. Because by default, web browsers have padding. Alright, so let's remove the padding by kanang default na padding ba. So how to remove that? Always add this. So I should probably mention that every time that you're going to style a website, ganyan na ba yung assignment na ay space? Nakabantay mo sa yung assignment?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir.
Nasa?
Yes, sir.
Alright, I forgot to tell you about this. But every time that you're going to visit a website, let's eliminate. If you don't want those, we have to eliminate those. So we'll use this command, this selector asterisk. That means everything. Okay, that means everything asterisk. Let's set the padding to 0, and then let's set the margin to 0. That means it resets everything back to 0. All right, let's save that, and then let's reload. Ana lang, okay. So asterisk, that means it will choose everything, and then set the padding to 0, margin to 0. And you'll notice nga mo ni siya may tabo. Mawala ang ihang space. Okay. So next is, let's proceed with our UL. The next thing that we're going to do is, now that we have this horizontal nga box, we're going to put our kanaibutan na to siya sa right side, and then naka vertical alignment na siya. So how to do that? Let's go back to our style.css. And then let's call the UL, diba? On the ordered list. So for us to make sure, we'll go to call the UL, which is inside the navigation, because there might be a chance na daghan na kaitang UL in the future as we go along with this design. Daghan tang maad nga UL. So we'll make sure nga we'll just call the UL, which is inside the navigation. How do you think we should call it? Yun sa na idea. Again, we're going to call the UL inside nav. So first, let's type nav and then UL. That means we're only selecting UL inside our nav. Do you follow?
Yes, sir.
Let's set the float to right. What sa gito pasabot sa float? Unsa?
Ang layout, sir, like, asa siya naka-display.
Alright, that's right. So, iyang i-change from instead nga left to right, i-float na to siya sa right. I-change ang iyang indentation, kumbaga. Kabantay mo, musulat ta sa papel sa always left man dito mag-start sa. So, it's the same thing with web development. It will only start with left to right, but if we're going to set float right, that means this time it will start from right to left. Okay? And then let's save that. Let's take a look. Here, na siya sa right side. Okay? So, let's add a padding. Let's add a padding. Okay, tapos ra kay siya sa right, so let's add, yan lang. Balikan na to na. Now, this time, let's change the, instead ng vertical alignment, ato siyang paanaon. From, mag-horizontal line siya. So, how to do that? Notice that it's LI, di ba? LI, or list. So, we're going to call LI na nabilong sa UL na nabilong sa nav. How do you think we should call it? Saan na ito pagtawag sa LI?
Nav, UL, LI, sir.
That's right. Nav, UL, and LI. So we are going to call the LI which is inside the UL ng UL inside sa nav. Para specific ta ba? Kani kay what if daghan na kay nga UL and LI in the future? So, di ba matawag sila tanan? What if kanira tong ganahan nga i-call? So we have to call LI specifically inside the nav. So let's do just that, LI, and then let's use this property. Display. So I'm hoping good, guys. I'm hoping that you're doing your research good because I cannot discuss all of them. So that's why maybe matingala mo nga nung nanapilain nga property. So I'm just going to assume na research na ninyo, but if not, I'm still going to explain it. The display will allow us to control how the element is going to look like. Now, there are different values for that. You have to research on it, but one of the values is called inline block. What do you mean by that? Basically, this is how it's going to look. It will transform the alignment from to inline. Usa na siya ka-line. Alright? Ganina, default, di ba nakaana siya? From top to bottom. This time, from left to right na siya. Alright? And so time, medyo dili pa kayo siya limpyo tan-awon. Let's try to add a margin. Okay? Butang na itong margin para na siya space. So, that will be inside UL. Okay? I think they should be on UL. Let's try. Let's add margin to the right. Margin to the right. Let's give it about 20 px. Let's see. Alright, so it only gives us a margin here. So how do we add margin for home, post, gallery? Kanang na siya space in between them. Saan siguro? Any idea? Asa nato butang? We know that we're going to add margin, pero asa nato butang ang margin?
Sa sir, LI.
LI. Alright, let's add margin. Sa right ra gyapon. Margin right. Let's give it about let's try to give it about 10 px. So that means it will give us 10 pixels to the right. Kana. All right. So if you think this is enough, then that's it. But if you want more space, let's try to zoom it out. Kana. Gamay siya kaayo nga space. Let's add more. Let's give it about 20 px instead. Alright. So, I think that's better. Pero, gamay siya kaysa. So, padakan siguro nato ang text. And then, let's change the color to white. How do you think we should do that? I think here. Inside our nav, let's change the color to white. White is FFF. Let's reload. Okay, white na siya. Do you agree in this color? Okay na ba ni colora? Or will we use another color here? We'll try this one. C7, E7, FC. There. We'll try to use this. Okay. Dili na siya puti. Alright. And then gamay ka iyang text. So what should we do? Padakan nato ang call ang text, right? Padakan ba nato?
Font size, sir.
All right. Hold on. All right, let's start with the Konangsa. Let's start with our logo. Okay, so we've already done something with our navigation. Let's proceed to our logo. Okay. So let's call this logo for now. Okay. So that means going back to our index.html, the label. Let's give it a class name. Let's call it logo. All right, and padakan nato atong logo. And then tapot kay siya sa left side. So we might want to do something about it as well. So let's go back. So first is padakan nato ang size siguro. So let's go back to our style.css and then let's call it. So that would be class. So since it's class, how do we call a class, guys?
Right, that's the start.
Period.
Period or dot and then logo. Okay, and then let's change the font size to, let's give it about 35 pixels. Okay, and let's try. Let's reload. Okay, wala na save. Hold on. Save. Make sure to always save good. Kana. Dara, naka na siya. And then let's change. I don't like the font face, so we have to change the font face as well. So for the entire font face to change, let's go back to, let's call in the body para sa mo apply siya sa tibok body ba, regardless of asa nato siya ibutang change ang yang font face. And I specifically like so far, so ever since I was in college, my favorite font is Century Gothic. This is how it looks like. So family, we were going to use font family so that naa siya fallback ba. What if wala, for example, we use like Century Gothic. What if wala Century Gothic? Naatay mga additional options. That's why we're going to use font family. Century Gothic is 2 words. That means we're going to enclose it with a double quote. Now, if wala Century Gothic, let's try to use Arial because they are almost the same look. And then if wala Arial gyapon, you can add more fonts if you'd like to. But if wala gyapon ang font yung ganahan, just choose any sans serif. This is the type of font nga katong wala gani mga pakapin. So muna siya sans serif. Kato ganing kamatag I, di ba? I usually I straight line naman kinasa sa. That's called sans serif. Straight line lang. Pero katong I nga na I horizontal lines sa top and bottom, that's called serif. Okay? So the first option is Century Gothic. If wala Century Gothic, it will use Arial. If wala, it will choose any sans serif fonts. You can add more if you'd like to. Load. Kana. So ever since I was in college, mo na akong favorite na font. Right now, siguro Helvetica if I'm not mistaken. But I'm not sure if I'm using na ako Helvetica dere. So let's try. Helvetica. Mo ba spelling Helvetica or Helvetica? Dara. Save that. Reload. Okay. Helvetica. We'll use Helvetica. Again, if wala ni, it will use Century Gothic and so on. Okay, so next, what do we want? What do we want to do? Next thing siguro itong buhatan is, kabantay mo is na siya sa topmost, wala siya na center align. So we want to center align it right about here. What do you think? Okay, so for that, let's go to the logo and then hold on, okay, line height. Alright, remember nga ang height sa ato ang navigation is 80 pixels, di ba? 80 pixels ang atong kani. 80 pixels man siya. So we have to make sure that ma-center ning everything that is inside our kaning box, this division will be centered. We're going to use line height. For the line height, let's give it kung unsay imong size sa imong unsay height sa imong navigation, mao pod ang imong height dire. That means it will move everything to center. Right? Let's reload. Just like that. Natunga na siya. Let's do the same thing with our UL. Let's give it line height. Let's give it 80 pixels. Since 80 pixels man ta, kana. Do you follow? So, the line height, ganahan mong automatic na ma-center ang inyong elements inside a box. So, once I height sa inyong box na original, you're just going to add an line height for your element as well. Same siya nga size. That's why here, we're able to center it out. And siguro next thing that we're going to do is we're going to move the kaning atong logo a little bit to the right side. Kaya tapos na siya sa left. So let's go back to our logo, this one right here. And then let's give it a siguro padding. No, let's try padding to the left. If I'm not mistaken. Let's try 100. Let's give it 100. Kana. Alright? So, it's starting to look good. Starting to look better. Alright, so I think this is for now. Let's add hover effects. Hold on. Okay, so let's try this. Gananta nga, every time that we're going to hover, na siya mo display nga boxes ba? Just like this. Kana. Do you see it? So this is just an additional design and we're just going to include this today so that para po medyo nito tanaw na ito ang website. So how to do that? Let's go to let's add a link first. So we're going to transform all of this to a link. Okay, para ma-hover siya, we'll transfer this all to link because mo na ito siyang link soon. So for now, since we don't have any web pages yet, just use this ahref then hash. Kana lang sa because wa ko matay link, and then we'll change the link soon. We change the href address on once na natin ito ang web page na. For the meantime, we'll copy all of these. Siguro, sa'yo. Dapat inside sa LI. Hold on. Let's move it inside the LI. And then, close it here. Okay, so now it's a link. The first thing that we're going to do is we'll give it hover effects. So this time we're going to call A na pod. Alright, so how do we call A? We need to call A, which is inside the LI, inside UL, inside nav. Alright, so that's the same thing. We're going to call nav, UL, LI, and then A. Do you follow?
Yes, sir.
Alright,
Yes,
and let's give it a padding. Let's give it a padding about 7 pixels by 13 pixels. What do you mean by that is this. For example, let's add a color. Background. For example, let's add a background color. Let's say yellow. Try lang sa yellow. And what do you mean by this? If duat kabuk atong gamiton, top and bottom, 7 pixels, 13 pixels, left and right, diba? Inong dumana. Let's try to reload. This is how it's gonna look like, kana? Hold on. Anong na siya sa gawas? Okay. Ay, si Piat. Duwa day akong na-close. Nakaduwa na double na ko siya close. Okay, let's remove this so that it should be inside our navigation. Okay, careful ma. Sipyat mo ni sir. Kana. So it's going to look something like this. So obviously, we don't want this for now. We only want this if ato siyang i-hover. Just like this ba? Kung i-hover nato siya, ganang mo display. For the meantime, let's fix that. Let's change the color to something else. Ganaan ko nga ang color niya is kani. Let's copy this. This would be the color. And then, let's add, for example, right now, square ka siya. Ganaan ko na ay gamay nga edge, radius ba. So we're going to add this one. Border radius, and then let's give it about 5px. Kana. Right, that's better. But again, we don't want this. We only want those when we're hovering it. So we're going to remove this for now. Let's just copy it or Control X or cut it. And then here's what we're going to do. Again, we're only going to display this if we are hovering it. Okay, hover lang nato. So how do we do that? We're going to do the same thing. Nav ULLIA, but this time we're going to add this property or instance rather, colon and then hover. So this will only apply if ato siyang i-hover. Okay, do you follow? Ganar ni siya kung naka-hover ta. So let's paste everything. Let's save that. Let's reload it. So right now it's hidden, but if we're going to point on it, it will start showing. Alright. Okay, right. So everything is set to back to the original. So let's fix this. Naka blue siya. We want that to be let's say back to white. Let's go back to A, and then let's set the text decoration. Let's set color rather. Let's set it to white. And may classic 11.
Wala, sir.
Alright. Would you mind if mo share mo explain tag mga 15 minutes kadali ra kayo para ra
Yes, sir.
na to kuan sa response. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
But let me know if
Yes,
may
sir. Yes, sir.
Alright. So let's set it back to white. And notice nga ang ato ang kani na ay underline sa ubos. And it doesn't really look good, diba? Kung na underline. So let's remove that. Let's still inside A. Let's remove it by using this text.
Text decoration, sir.
That's it. Text decoration. Let's set it to I think none. Is that right? None ba to ibutang nato ano?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Text yeah, none. Let's save that. Let's reload. Kana. So far it's starting to look good every time that we hover it. Kana mo display na siya. And then if you want to add more decoration to it, I would suggest to go to W3 schools, or you can Google about I forgot what it's called. Transition. No. I forgot what's called. Transitions. Murabag magama kag animation ba? Magama kag animation sa imo. Kani for example, ganahan ka nga maghinay-hinay sa sad flow or something like that. It would be totally up to you. Just go ahead and Google it out. I think it's called transitions. CSS transitions. It will allow you to create animations on your web page. All right. Okay, this time, so I think this is good for now. What happens if you're going to view it on mobile device? Muna mahitabo. Dili siya tarong kung ato siyang tanaw sa mobile device. Let's set it to, let's say, iPad Air. Okay, kung naka-iPad ta, it looks good. But if, let's say, iPhone 12 Pro, muna itsura, it doesn't really look good. But that's the problem with using if without adding responsiveness. So this time we're going to add responsiveness to our website. Okay, so let's do just that. So we're already done with the style.css. Let's save this. Let's proceed to our media.css. So we want it na kung saan ganito yung size sa iPhone. Let's say we want it to be for iPhone. Sige, iPhone 12 Pro na lang. Let's Google iPhone 12 Pro na viewport size 390 by 844. Okay, remember 390 844. So we want our width to be 390 and then the height is 844. But since we're just using with Roman, so we'll take note of 390. So for your assignment, sa inyong assignment, para sa inyong website, you're not going to be doing any phone. Make sure to use your phone as your viewport. Let's say, for example, right now my phone is a Xiaomi Redmi Note 10s. Alright, this is my phone, and then if I'm going to just Google the viewport size, because once nga sa inyong assignment, ganahan ko nga ang screenshot ninyo is using your phone, okay, for the responsiveness of your website. So let me look for the viewport. Dara, viewport is 390 gapon, 390 by 851. So I'm going to use 393 as my viewport. That's the same case on you guys. Once you'll be working on your program, on your website, it must be the viewport size of your phone, okay? Because part sa inyong screenshot, ang inyong screenshot as inyong hamang phone. So therefore, the maximum width that I'll be using is, ang salan ka nito? 393 pixels, since we'll be using the viewport. So maximum width is 390, meaning anything that is more than 390, it will no longer work. This media query will only work if my device that I'm trying to work on is 393 and below. Do you follow?
Yes, sir.
Alright.
Yes, sir.
So what's the first thing that we want to fix? So remember, this is how it looked like. Muna yung hitsura doon, and it doesn't really look well. So let's change it to responsive. Responsive, so we can type in the actual size. So my phone is 390 by salang ganito, 390 by 851. So just type in 390 by 851. So that's the size of my phone. So right now it doesn't really look good. What do we want to do is, ganun ko nga ang logo is medyo naka-right side, nakabutang siya sa left side gamay. And then kaning akong navigation, katong navigation ba? May mo siyang mura og burger. Katong burger ba ni tawag ana? Burger menu. But right now, since we don't have any icons yet, we're just going to use simple katong ... Kani ba? Going to use this kaning ... But soon, once we get to our once kana mas madugay ta sa designing, we're going to use icon packs. For the meantime, since wa pa ta ka-discuss og icon packs, this is what we want. We want a collapsible nga navigation. So ma-collapse siya ba? I-click na ko na ma-collapse siya. Okay, sulay ba ta ani sa mga apps nato, sa mga websites nato? Sa atong phones?
Yes, sir.
Alright, that's what we want.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we want this to be a little bit to the left side, and we want all the navigation to be collapsible. So how do we do that? Here's a few things that we need to do first. We're going to, back to our index.html, please take note. We're going to create a toggle switch. We say toggle switch. It's not really called toggle switch, but let's call it toggle switch. That means if atong i-click na siya nga switch, mo activate ang yang animation. Katong move left to right ba? Alright? So let's do just that. Let's remember that we created a label. So here we're going to create an input. And then for that type, let's call it checkbox. Okay, so what you say mahitabuan usually is this. Muna itsura niya checkbox. Kana. So i-click nato na i-check. Dayon, if i-click nato mawala ang check. Do you see it?
Yes, sir.
Alright. So
Yes, sir.
this checkbox will allow us to toggle anything. So it could be animation or anything like that. So every time nga naka-check mark siya, magawas tong iyang animation. Alright? If wala, mawala po siya. So we'll use that as our switch. But we don't want to display this. We want to hide it, but that will be later on. Let's proceed. So we already have an input for text box or checkbox, and then we are going to create remember that we already created a label. So that means, okay, let's create a label for, okay, let me just write it down for now and then I'll explain it to you. check, and then let's call it class. Ayan lang, kana lang sa lang. So the label for check is that, hold on, and then we're going to add the I. Okay, so we're going to create katong kanina ba? We're going to add this kani. So that means if ato na i-click nato ning kaning dot mo check box siya ba? Every time that we'll click this kani, mo check box. Ma-checkan ang atong checkbox. Alright, mura siyang toggle ba? So we're going to add this label for check. So that means input type na to kani. We're going to call it we're going to give it an ID called check. Alright, that means, and okay, kani ba itong labelan ng atong input na checkbox? We'll call it check. And then the label for is mura siya og toggle ba? Switch. So every time that we're going to click this, ma-checkan ang atong checkbox. Okay, let me just show you what that means. So let's add a dot there. So that means, kung ato i-click ning dot, automatic siyang mo add og checkbox. How did we do it? Remember, if kung ato i-click ang checkbox, automatic siyang mo add og check. But this time, we're going to control it remotely. So that means if we're going to click this, mabutangan na yapon siya checkbox by adding a label for it. So we know that it's called check, diba? Ang atong checkbox gingan lang natog tagaan natog checkbox, tagaan natog ID check. Therefore, every time that we're going to click this, it will look for a label for an ID called check, and then butangan niya og check. All right? I'm not sure if that makes sense, but let me just show you. Kana. So, okay. Let me try to zoom it in. All right. So, di ba by default, if i-click na ako ng checkbox, mo check it siya, di ba? Alright? However, since ato nang i-hide later on, we have to create a remote switch. Kumbaga, let's call remote switch. And that's where we use this dot. If you click the dot, it will still check the checkbox. Do you get it? Now, let me move it. Ipalayo ko na ako ni God. Arong makabalo jud mo nga. Bisan pag ipalayo pa na ako na, ibutang na ako dire. Tapad sa logo. So this time medyo layo siya. Kana na siya dire, but still if I'm going to click on it, ma-checkan ra gyapon siya. Do you see it, guys?
Yes, sir.
Mura tagagama og remote ba? Kay later on atong na taguan. So magtaguan nato ni siya. So therefore we're going to create a remote, kumbaga remote. And every time that we're going to click it, ma-checkan ra gyapon siya. That is what label for is for. Okay? So how to create a remote? First is you're going to create an ID for that particular element. So in this case we use check, and then create a label, and then for, that means this will connect this one and this one. All right. So let me move it back to the top, and then let's start designing it. Let's go back. Let's go to our style.css. Yeah, let's go to our style.css. So, if naka landscape mode ta, ato siyang taguan. Because right now, naka-display siya. But, if naka landscape mode ta, taguan nato sila. How do you think we should do that? Unsaan kaya nito na? Diyon sa kaya nato ito kanina, itong pagtago o element. Display, and then none.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, let's go to right now, since we want to hide it while naka-landscape ta, di ba? Kung naka-landscape ta, taguan nato ni silang duwa. Alright? Correct? Kanang naka-desktop mode sa ba? Taguan nato sila. So, how to do sila? So, asa nato i-edit? Sa style or sa media?
Media, sir.
Okay, remember, ato siyang taguan kung naka-desktop ta, naka-inanit ta. So, asa? Sa style or sa media?
Style, sir.
Sa style. And then, i-display na nato ni siya kung naka-media na siya, kung naka-mobile na ta. So, how do we do it? Let's go to style.css, and then, sige ngalan niya, hold on. Alright. Let's call it kaning check. Let's add another class for the sake of our CSS. Let's give it a class and let's say class btn, class button. That's will be our class for our CSS. So let's call it in here. I guess that should be before the logo. That's since it's a class, let's call limot man dayo. Class btn. Class at class dili class check button. So instead check btn rather. So let's call it check btn and then display, let's set it to none. Okay, laon na niya ang kani. Save that. Let's save this as well. Check ba tayo sa okay, nawala na itong katong dot because we only want to display that later on once we're going to be on desktop mobile view. And wala ko nato nag-appeal ang checkbox. So inside our style.css, let's go for katong checkbox. Let's give it okay, na naman tayo ID. So kanilang gamitin na ito ng ID. So since it's ID, unsa itong gamitin siguro? Diyan natin siya pag-call.
Hashtag, sir.
Hash. Alright?
Hashtag.
Hash. That's only hash. You're going to call it hashtag if you're going to connect to it just like in social media. Alright, so hash and then so dito check. Okay, same thing. We're going to display and then none. Save that. Reload. Dara, nataguan na siya. Alright, but we want it back. Ganatang mabalik tong ato ang dot once we are on mobile view. So how do we do it? Saan siguro nato? Kailangan kung mabalik siya pag naka mobile view ta. Wait, what do you think we should do? Alright, let's go this time. Let's go to our media.css and then okay. We want our unsa gay pangalan ato? Check btn, di ba? Check btn. Alright. We want our check btn. So let's call check btn and let's set the display. Alright, so again, please go ahead and research about display properties. But if we're going to set it diba, none, meaning yang i-hide, if we're going to set it to black, it will display in a black manner. So you just have to research on that na lang so that we will not use a lot of time. So if we're going to meaning atong i-display nato siya balik, diba? Gi-hide nato siya sa atong desktop mode or desktop view. For our mobile view, ato siyang i-display balik ng atong check btn. So let's save that. Let's check it out. Right now, we're currently on mobile view. So let's reload. Dara, na-display na siya balik. Alright. So same thing. This time, let's start changing our navigation. So right now, medyo dako ang ato ang medyo taas kaira ang ato ang sa tagani ato ang height sa ato ang box. So let's change the box real quick. So let's go back the nav. Let's call the nav again. And let's set the height to, let's say, 50px. Okay, let's reload. Okay, gamay-gamay na siya. And then, since gamay na ito atong navigation, gamay na po kaayo na. So let's set it to 60 na lang. Alright. So let's adjust all of this to make sure that it will still look good. So remember, this is now 60. So unsa na itong mapatunga ni siya kana atong logo. Our height is 6 we change it to 60. How do we align center this? Kana pag-ibutan nato siya sa pinakatunga. Yun sa gito na to?
Line height, sir.
That's right, line height. So let's go back to let's call in our logo. Yeah, let's call in our logo. So asa gin ato gibutang atong logo na asa nara sa gawas. So let's call in our logo. Let's give it line height. Pila na gani? 60px. Let's try. If mo gana ba siya? Alright, 2 lang. Alright, so for the meantime, let's let's forget it for now. Let's fix the check button because siguro may na nakaingon. Let's change the line height as well to 60. Yeah. Save that. Alright, napatunga na nga to ang... Okay, let's go. We'll get back to our logo later on. Let's fix our one for now. Let's do it one step at a time. Let's fix our navigation button. So, what else? Okay, let's increase the font. So let's set the font size to, let's say, 50px. Let's see how it looks like. Kana medyo dako na siya. Alright, the thing is, okay, although center na siya, dapat center na siya. Kaso if we're going to take a look on kanang dot, di ba? If we're going to create a line, aka bang magsulata, di ba? Let me write it down. For example, this is magsulata og word. Set kaning word. For example, kana. If we're going to write a dot, di ba? Naman siya sa ubos. So dili siya center jud kaayo. So although naka-center na siya ron, pero it will not look center. It's because kanang ang text itself is nakailalo man siya. So maybe we'll try to decrease the font size na lang. The line height. Pag mubutang ta og line, for example, dash, since ang dash is generally naman siya tunga. So if we're going to change to dash, tunga na siya. Just like that. Pero notice that dots are usually at the bottom, man. So maybe we can fix that. Let's set it to dot, back to dot. And let's change it. Let's set the font height to something smaller. Let's say 35. Alright, let's change it further. Okay, maybe, yeah, 35. Ano na lang. It's because dots are usually at the bottom. So let's keep it this way na lang. And then, what else? Font size, block. Alright, this time let's fix our logo. Let's give it about padding left 15. Hold on. Let's fix our logo now. Let's give it... Okay, let's erase that. Padding. Paggamit na to ang space between the left side and the logo itself. So from, dako man to kayo, 80 man siguro to ganina. Let's give it 50. So it will move to, it should move to the left a little bit, just like that. And then, isa pa. Let's decrease the size, the font size. Let's give it about 30px. Gamay-kamay na. And then let's fix the rest. Automatic na siya ma-fix later on kung ma-fix na to ang atong navigation. So for our navigation, okay, nav UL. Let's set the width to 100%. And then height is, hold on, UL. Let's save this real quickly. All right, let's get back to it in just a moment. Kadali lang sa, let me try this out. Para madali ta. Okay, we're taking a lot of time already. Alright, I think there's something wrong with my HTML. Hold on. Dali lang. Diba? Okay. Okay, let's go back.